What is going on, everybody? It is Alex coming back at you with another video, and today I'm going to be doing round three of this mock draft. It's a bit late, obviously. If you guys have checked up on the post, you guys know what's going on, so I appreciate your guys' support through all of that. It's looking good, so happy to say that we're on the up. Let's get right into this, though. No need for a lengthy introduction. The Bears are sitting here at 64. After moving back, adding in multiple first-round picks, adding another second-round pick, and we have Michael Wilson, Myles Murphy, and also Jahmyr Gibbs right there. So we addressed running back, wide receiver, as well as edge rusher. Now it's a good spot to, kind of take BPA in my opinion. And I'm looking at the board, and I'm looking at these corners. It's like, holy crap. I have guys who I have very highly rated up here in the third round. Like Clark Phillips doesn't deserve to be here. Cam Smith, I do have him a lot lower. I'll show you guys on my board. He ranks at 66, which I thought I was low on him. And I mean, maybe it's not as nice as what PFF likes to rank him, but I guess it's kind of like it's a little bit of good reassurance to know that I'm not the one who's like really crapping on Cam Smith's doorstep. But I think as a corner three, he is phenomenal. And we don't know if we can exactly afford to keep Jalen Johnson. I pray to God we do. But it's just BPA. Cam Smith at 64 is incredible value. He was somebody who's sneaky into the top 10 of some mock drafts, including my own, because of the fact that he was playing very well. But the more you analyze the tape, including me, where I actually fell asleep because I got so bored, he has the athletic limitations that hold back Jalen Jones. I'm forgetting who else it holds back, but there's instances of tape where Cam Smith is extremely not responsive, and it is concerning to say the least. But pick number 65, we have gone Bryce Young, and then I want to double check to make sure that we did the right thing. I know we went Drew Sanders here, and then we also went Peter Skoronski to play that guard slash center role. That's a nice start to the draft, and I can say so myself. Linebacker, quarterback, as well as interior offensive lineman. And now I get to see a guy like Andre Carter, extremely freaky, great tools. To me, I love that. You can go even Isaiah Foskey. I would trust. Why do I keep wanting to say Bieniemy? I was just talking to our former co-host about that Bieniemy hiring there in Washington. But DeMeco Ryans, I think Andre Carter would be an absolute stud fit. Definitely somebody where he took a big knock at the Senior Bowl, but his talent's still there, the size is still there. Someone who's been rising because of the Senior Bowl is Will McDonald, somebody who I might be taking at this spot. I know I moved back, and then I was with the Eagles. I tossed in an extra second-round pick there for you guys because originally I did undersell that pick. I don't really think it's like groundbreaking. It doesn't affect the mock draft, but we were able to acquire John Michael Schmitz, Brian Breezy, as well as Joey Porter Jr. And this is a perfect spot to go after someone like Will McDonald. I will say that I think Will McDonald is very similar to how I saw Myles Sanders last year. But, I don't think more is less. So being able to get another really high upside edge rusher at this spot is insanely good value. To me, I think it's totally worth it. And right now, we're just kind of picking up the scraps of what is left. The Broncos, I mean, they haven't had pretty much jack shit in terms of picks. So it's kind of nice to see that we have some of these. And I believe I'm 99% sure I traded that number 100 pick from Kansas City to the New York Giants. And I have not yet. Or I think 102 is. So I'll have to do that when the time comes because of the fact that I think the New York Giants own that pick from Kadarius Toney. Doesn't matter. PFF doesn't really do a good job at keeping things up to date. However, I want to be able to bring in a player of Keon White's caliber to play where Bradley Chubb was. Extremely good value. The edge rushers in this class, especially if they fall to the third round like this, are going to be incredible value. I'm going to lock it in all day long. And honestly, Steve Avila is the next dude who I have right here. But Andrew Voorhees, I prefer him. He looks a lot worse than he was last year. He was my offensive lineman 1. Now, I still might bring him on the show because I do believe in him, and he was dealing with injuries last year, but Certainly not that offensive lineman one that he was back in 2021. Pick number 69. So the Rams, I very well might go Steve Avila here. I think we went Matt Bergeron with this pick up above, and we did. We went Matt Bergeron. So I don't know how realistic it is to go after two offensive linemen. There are rumors of potentially cutting Jalen Ramsey. If that's the case, I mean, I would consider going after Julius Brents at this point. He's 6'3", and he's actually a pretty damn solid corner, someone who I will be featuring in this round. Clark Phillips is still here, insane, because I am a very big fan of Clark Phillips. You just have to find the right spot. But this team was trying to trade 2 firsts and a second for an edge rusher. They're obviously telegraphing their needs, and we could stay in Los Angeles here with Tuli Tuipulotu or Isaiah Foskey, or even Derek Hall, or Isaiah McGuire, who fell on my board as well as PFF's. Very unfortunate. But I still see that game tape. I just think that he did an awful decision in the offseason to train with the wrong training staff. But we can get into that if he's ever taken here. But Tuli might be the guy I go with. He is somebody who is on the rise. Very good production in the past year. Again, you see the LA scouts going to be seeing him quite often. So, that seeing that level of production increase does seem to be something that might catch their eye. Pick number 70 for the Raiders. I would definitely consider Steve Avila here. With that 7th overall pick, we went after Devon Witherspoon. Checking out what we did in this round, went Jack Campbell. So to me, defensive back also is something that I would look at, and it appears that that's also a position you guys would be interested in. Another guy to note, Tanner McKee, not Dion Henley, who, funny enough, the guy who actually we're going to be bringing on, Brennan Jackson from Washington State, kind of attracted our attention because we got so bored of watching Dion. I don't think he's necessarily that good. Of course, being boring doesn't always mean you're bad, but it does mean that it's a laborious study, to say the least. So I want to check out the defensive backs that are still here. I honestly kind of want to take a shot on Clark Phillips if I am at this spot, but I'm going to go Julius Brents because he is so much better than what PFF's graded him at. Like, he's a big corner who actually has some really good skills, performed quite well at the Senior Bowl, if I must say so myself. So someone who popped off, I think he did so against Bama, but he also did against TCU. So very, very good high upside corner there. Again, really good size, especially if he tests well at the combine. We'll see his name start rising. Pick number 71. So I went Tyree Wilson. Like, I'm 99.9% sure I went Tyree Wilson. I always go Tyree Wilson. And yeah, we went Tyree Wilson here, and we went Jalen Hyatt. So we added an offensive and a defensive pick. I don't think Steve Avila would be that bad of an option. I know you guys are kind of, like, for some of the fans I've heard, are kind of pissed at Matt Hennessy. Would not be a bad choice because he also has that center versatility. He's a big guy. I don't think you can ever go wrong with going offensive line, and this class is very, very thin on those dudes. Pick number 72, we have went offensive tackle, as well as in the last round, I'm 90% sure it was an edge rusher, and it was Felix Onyeudike-Uzomah. So now, I want to continue addressing the safety position because, well, not safety, but like somebody who can play corner or safety. Jamie Robinson is just so good. It is BPA. I really love Jamie Robinson. Other positions of note, for the love of God, this site is going to be the end of me. I don't really see many other positions. We can go after another edge rusher for this team. We've kind of already addressed the big positions of need. Wide receiver, I don't think that's off the board. I like the idea of wide receiver here. And looking at guys like Tyler Scott could be intriguing. There's no all-22 out on him just yet, and I'm very excited for when it does. Justin Shorter is a good target down the board. That's one of my guys in the draft. I'm a huge fanboy. But I actually might go Jaden Reed here. I actually really like what he could bring to the table. He ended up becoming a big, big riser on my board. I want to see where he's at. So here's Tank Dell. Jaden Reed's there at number 77. So very solid player, someone who brings a lot of excitement to the table. Pick number 73. So we went Lucas Van Ness, and I believe we also went a weapon in Josh Downs, and we have. So we got defensive and offensive help. Now I want to help you guys out in that defensive interior, and I'm going to go after Keandre Coburn, 343 pounds, the pretty much what you guys were looking for from Siaki Ika, the bum himself. I cannot stand Siaki Ika, and he has fallen significantly in terms of the percentage drop on PFF's board. He fell from 31 down to number 55, so I'm not the only one who's starting to lose. Well, I never had faith in the first place, but I'm not the only one who's not a fan of Siaki Ika, and it's looking like the trend is going that way. But Titans, we went after tackle as well as wide receiver with Tank Dell. It would have been so awesome to go Jaden Reed because you literally would have a pretty much mock version of the Eagles offense because Jaden Reed is, kind of Quezzy. So you could get like your own Quez Watkins there. You already had your Devontae Smith. Rashee Rice would not be an awful option, but I do see him continuing to fall. Obviously, he's my buddy here at SMU. Would love to show him some love. I just can't force it. But Tanner McKee seems to feel like a perfect fit for this squad. You guys are trying to trade up to one for a QB. In the third round, it's not a bad idea. You took one last year with Malik Willis. Tanner's a totally different style of quarterback. So I think that he could work very well in this offense if he is taken here. Pick number 75. I know we have trades in here too. We could totally trade up. There's just a lot of really good players. I could have seen maybe the Patriots move back, but I love Jaden Reed. But for the Texans, again, at the start of the round, we went Andre Carter. We've addressed linebacker. We've addressed guard/center. We've addressed quarterback. So I don't really think that there's many positions to address. And I would love to show some love to Carl Brooks. I don't know if I can, though. I just don't know because he didn't even get a combine invite, but I'm going to. We're going to kick him inside. I hope for the best that he's able to, make that push because I'm a big fan of his, and I hope that he's able to, maybe get a combine. I don't know. Maybe he'll just shine at his pro day. Pick number 76. Surprised that Nick Herbig's up this high. He's somebody who's extremely undersized, but pick number 76, potentially Derek Carr's location. We have gone, I believe, after a linebacker for you guys. I know we went Sidney Brown as well as an offensive tackle in round one because I'm just a man of habit. Jamie Robinson would have been an amazing fit here. I would have loved that myself. I actually very well might go after Dion or DeMarvion Overshown here. DeMarvion's a great player, but I'm actually going to go Noah Sewell. I'm going to go with that. He's 250 pounds. He has some really bad games, but you do see the high upside. And for me, I think it's totally worth at least taking a swing on him. Pick number 77 for the Dolphins. I do know that Boundary DB is definitely within the cards, and we still have a star one on the board. We got tight end with Sam Laporta, which I do think would be a great fit here. I'm going to take my shot on him, man. I'm going to go Clark Phillips. He's just such a good player. It sucks. I mean, you guys literally see where he is on my board. I have him here in the top 45 at his size. He's a great player. Just sometimes players fall even if I don't want them to. Packers, we have definitely gone after a tight end in round 2 because that is my habit. And what do you know? Dalton Kincaid is there in round 2. Round 1, if I'm not mistaken, was an edge rusher or a defensive back. So, we got DB, and we also have tight end. Edge rusher, a big, high upside, run-stuffing edge rusher with good athleticism. It fits the bill, and honestly, the Packers, if they end up doing this and they end up pulling it off again, I am pretty certain I would be giving them probably a B+ or an A, just based on, it depends on who's available. It really does. Pick number 79 for the Colts via Washington. This is the Carson Wentz pick, I believe. So you guys moved back, you got AR, and then we also got Luke Whippler. And one more position of note, because I know we stole a second rounder, Garrett Williams. Nice. I mean, that's hitting my favorite spots. That sounded weird. But running back, I don't think is out of the question. Just getting somebody to at least help Jonathan Taylor with those reps. Again, it's not really that big of a deal. This team, I always choose them to go deep into the playoffs every year, and I just don't think that they necessarily live up to the expectation. Obviously, if I end up seeing Jaden Reed on the board, I think that would be a great replacement for Paris Campbell. That is if Paris Campbell is no longer there. But I'm going to pair up AR with his favorite wide receiver, Justin Shorter here. He is a top 32 player on my board. Nobody has him within their top 200. I don't know. I might just be insane, but I just fell in love with Justin Shorter. And I continue rewatching tape. I continue doing it. I watch new tape when it comes out. I watch old tape again because I'm like, am I crazy? Maybe. But based on the tape that I'm watching, I'm not. So I love Justin Shorter. Big fan of him. And pairing him up with AR is a perfect way to thread him into this mock. Pick number 84, the Steelers. We moved up. We got Jordan Addison. That was awesome. Jalen Jones, Jordan Addison, and Broderick Jones. Now you could look at some bum like Siaki Ika. I'm not down for that personally. I think we can get more DBs up in here. We can get another linebacker. And we might as well replace an undersized linebacker with an undersized linebacker. 2 sub-6-foot linebackers are swapping places here. Ivan Pace, who is an absolute freak of nature. In terms of his power for his size, he's able to deck a freaking guard. I fell in love with Ivan Pace. He's number 50 on my big board. I'll scroll up so y'all can take a peek at that. Right there, number 50 on my big board. I love him to death. Somebody who I have not taken in this mock draft who needs to go is JL Skinner. I love him to death, and I feel like this is a perfect team to use him as a linebacker. Box linebacker or safety pairing right there. Pick number 82. We still have not had a trade, but I don't think that the value is good enough for a team to, or is bad enough for a team to trade back. This might be the first. We traded out of the first round with the Steelers. So last round we had 2 of them. Kalijah Cansey, nice pickup, and then Luke Musgrave. So 2 hyper athletes, and they both come with their own issues. DB needs to be a primary concern. I'm looking at the guys available. I love DJ Turner, actually. Like, in terms of the value here, that's absolutely incredible. DJ Turner all the way. You can play slot, but he can also play boundary. I think that would be a great spot for him to just find a good role for him to be in. He was very surprising. When I watched him, he made a big leap from last year, so pleasantly surprised to see that we have even more DB talent in this class. Seahawks don't need jack shit based on how the draft has gone. You guys ended up getting Will Levis. I know y'all got all grouchy about that, but you got Will Levis, Trenton Simpson, and Osiris Torrance in the first, which is perfectly fine. BJ Ojolari. Some of y'all did not like the fact that I traded up for BJ Ojolari because of the guys who were available here, and that's understandable, 100%. But at the same time, I have BJ as a top 10 player on my board. I think that's totally worth the cost of moving up. But anyways, we are sitting here now. I mean, I know y'all hate when I go, well, some of you guys hate when I go safety. I think Jamie Robinson would just be so awesome. I think he's so good. Like, he is so good. We've already went linebacker, edge rusher. Like, defensive interior, we could go after a bum like Siaki Ika. I would rather wait for Jared Clark. I'd probably take Jared Clark in round 4. So that's probably where my headspace is at. I would look at him then. But besides that, we could look at another interior offensive lineman. Man, this class is just buns. I would love Alex Forsyth. I think that he's so underrated. I don't even think he let up like really any pressure at all last year, let alone sacks. Just somebody who's like very consistent. Like, definitely somebody where, flying under the radar. I'm not going to take him here in the 3rd, but I want to give the guy a shout out. Alex Forsyth, good player. Good player. Joe Tippmann to me is kind of a bum. I don't understand where the love is coming for that one. But, I could see THT going here and being just a versatile DB. He's very feisty. So, honestly, I'm going to take that. I don't think this team needs much in terms of value. It's a good trade back spot. But I just love it. I just love being able to take just BPA for this team. Also, taking him away from the Chargers, where I would have loved that. I want to check what the Chargers picks were to refresh my memory as well as yours. We got Zay Flowers in the 1st, and I'm sure Keanu Benton in the 2nd. I like that. So now we have a wide receiver, starting wide receiver, and a starting defensive interior. Zach Charbonnet to me feels like a great compliment on that running back core. However, you do have some guys who could, step in and be, formidable threats. But you have also been pretty damn close to Zach for the past year or two there at UCLA. Would not be a bad move, in my opinion, to get somebody to continue taking the stress off Justin Herbert. So Zach Charbonnet will be going. Pick number 85. Again, a team that I don't really think needs very much. What do we take with our last pick? Clark Phillips. I love it. I know they don't need it because they have Ken Kohu in the slot, but also Clark can play on the boundary. I might just go Jamie Robinson, continue just developing. I just don't really see much value anywhere else right now. Like tackle-wise, you can get Jalen Duncan and then develop him. That would crush my soul because I think he's a bum that's very athletic. That's me. I know Wanya Morris is not bad at all either, and he can play that right tackle spot. I don't know if I'd put a third on him, though. I'm not very comfortable with that. Running back-wise, to be fair, you're coming from a Shanahan system, so you guys usually draft a running back here in the third round, even if you shouldn't. So looking at the guys who are available, I love Deuce Vaughn. I'm going to take him. He's graded out as my RB1, even though I know for a fact he can't be my RB1. It's mainly down to fumbles. That's the big differentiator between him as well as Bijan. But, somebody of his size at 5'6", at once pretty much 180, it is tough to think that he will have a bright future in the NFL. But the way that he uses his size is incredible, and his offensive line was not good at all. So I'm excited to see if Deuce Vaughn can make it in the NFL because I'm a big fan of his. Pick number 86 for the Ravens, wide receiver, round 1 with Jackson Smith and Jigba. Potentially it's going to be DeAndre Hopkins. I've been hearing some rumors on that. Second round pick was Jahmyr Gibbs to the Bears. So with our second pick, again, it's a team that just doesn't need much. I'm going to look at the defensive backs. I'm not a huge fan of Darius Rush myself. Jacorian Bennett's pretty mid. I like Riley Moss, but ain't no way I'm drafting him at this point. Guys to look at here, potentially, I like Cameron Mitchell and Carrington Valentine. Not going to draft him at this point. But again, Riley Moss, you have Caillou Blue Kelly. It's just not the right spot to draft one of these guys. So linebacker, I think would be a good move. Looking at the guys who are available, Cam Jones, I'm a huge fan of, but he's a redshirt senior who had injury issues. Dorian Williams is like 220 pounds, not necessarily the best thing in the world. I know that you didn't lose out because you just paid Roquan, but Dion Henley will be a nice addition there. Patrick Queen will possibly be dealt. I don't know. I've been hearing rumors about it from you guys, so maybe you guys are just pulling my leg, but I think Dion Henley's a great player for that value. I would love to see him on this squad. Pick number 87 for the Vikings. So we went after Bijan round 1. Round 2 obviously was traded for TJ Hawkinson. It's another spot where I want to look at a DB and I just ain't seeing it. Like Riley Moss, this might be a good spot for him to be, but free agency also exists. You can go and get your best players there. I'm not going to lie, though. I really like Christopher Smith or Jamie Robinson on this team. And I think I'm going to do it. I'm going to get that safety help. But I think Jamie Robinson is good enough to play man-to-man. So you could see him move into a slot corner role if need be. He has some versatility. It's just BPA, in my opinion. I think it's just totally worth it. But the Jaguars are here at pick number 88. I'm pretty sure I went after a boundary DB for them in round 1 with Emmanuel Forbes, who I am an absolute fiend on. I love him. Lusagoon in round 2. So we got ourselves a guard. We also have found ourselves a defensive back. I don't think there's that many more positions for this team to address. Neither does PFF. Of course, their word doesn't mean anything. However, tight end wise, Josh Wiley would be an incredible backup. And he went up to 6'6", 260 pounds from a 240-pound frame. I love to see that. He's my favorite pound-for-pound tight end in the draft. Someone who I've been following for a couple years, seeing him whoop the ass of my SMU Mustangs every single year. One of the most underrated players. Like, literally zero people are talking about him. Definitely somebody to keep on your radar as someone who's going to be able to make some plays for your team. Pick number 89, New York, we moved up for Quentin Johnston. So that's a good start. And we got Deonte Banks. So a boundary DB as well as a starting wide receiver. That's a nice place to be. Like, I would look at someone like Christopher Smith to potentially play DB for you as well. I think it's a good spot for him to go. But like other positions, linebacker wise, Dorian Williams could work here, or DeMarvion Overshown. I might want to take the swing on DeMarvion. He has some really, really good pop to him. And I would personally want to see what a 6'4" player can do in this defense in Wink Martindale's system. Wink's never been good at developing linebackers in the first place. So at least like you're not saying, oh, well, this guy is just a solid safe bet. It's like you might as well just go balls to the wall and pray to God that he works. And I think DeMarvion would be a really fun, solid fit for you guys. Pick number 90. I know that the Cowboys took Tyreek Stevenson in round number 1. Round number 2, pretty sure it's a boundary DB. No, we took Cody Mauch. I mean, that's a good pick too. I know DB is something that I would be very key on grabbing, but like they're saying you guys need defensive interior. I'm still doing the 7 rounders for each team. So we'll see about how that goes. But Derek Hall might be a fun guy to keep on your depth. Same thing with Christopher Smith. Like, just the value is too good here to pass on. I would potentially move back and get Rashee Rice because, SMU bias. But, oh man, when I was in the Giants, I should have traded with the Chiefs. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. I am going to trade this pick, though. I think it's the right thing to do. You got guys like Christopher Smith on the board. And there are teams like the Eagles that, now without Chauncey... Oh, well, the Eagles and Cowboys have made trades before. Without Chauncey, I can totally see the Eagles and Cowboys making this deal. So, yeah, it's kind of, ooh, damn, the Eagles have nothing. Yeah, they better make sure that they get this pick right then. You can debate whether it takes a future 4 or future 5. I don't think it will cost that much to move up 4 spots this late in the draft. So, future 5 to be able to move up and draft Christopher Smith to be that safety to replace either Marcus Epps or Chauncey, which sucks because I really do think Chauncey is a very good player. But Buffalo, I need to see if I drafted a safety, and I did. Antonio Johnson at the end of the second is incredible value. At this point, we've drafted a tackle as well as a safety. I think a slot wide receiver is not a bad choice here. And you do see someone like Xavier Hutchinson that doesn't necessarily fit the mold of a smaller, bursty wide receiver, but definitely somebody who at least would be a consistent player on your roster. Parker Washington would be really fun on this team, and he doesn't fit that either, but I think it's just totally worth taking that bigger running back size and just getting the ball out of Josh's hands. So testing out Parker Washington would be quite the fun thing to do. Blake Freeland was my pick in round number 2, along with Michael Mayer in 1 for the Bengals. So I know that some of you guys had an issue saying right tackle is more the concern, and Blake Freeland didn't do well at right tackle. I think just getting a tackle in general is key to at least have some depth that potentially can start. At right tackle, I wouldn't be too confident, but I still think left tackle could be something that could be had. So, yeah, with Bengals sitting here at this spot, I still want to check out, see if there's any good DBs. This might be the spot where I reach on Darius Rush. He had a very good Senior Bowl, mainly because the wide receivers weren't running very good routes, but it's not an awful location to take a DB, and I do see some teams that are still lurking. So Darius Rush it is. Pick number 93. Are there any more good tight ends? I like Braden Willis. I like Brenton Strange. I like Daniel Barker as well. I heard Zach, can't say that word, is a pretty good player. Tucker Kraft's a fun one. But for me, at this point, the best value is running back. You don't have to spend a second round pick on one. And Sean Tucker's here. I think he would be a great fit. Chase Brown would be awesome as well. Tyjae Spears, though, he did kind of come out of nowhere. And I for some reason feel like Carolina's going to be the team that grabs him. It feels similar to the Dameon Pierce of last year. Pick number 94 for the Cowboys. We did trade back, and I'm going to show a little bit of love and draft Rashee Rice, who had himself a very, very tough Senior Bowl, but he did light up the why do I keep wanting to call it the Big 12? We should be in the Big 12. To be fair, it's not much of an accomplishment anymore. But the American, the AAC, he did light him up. So, it's a well-deserving. The Cowboys have been pretty present very often. Pick number 95. So I want to quickly check what I did for the Chiefs. Last round, Kayshon Boutte. That was an interesting one. And then I traded out and got Adita Miwa out of Baware. So we got ourselves a defensive interior. I think at this point, I'd be willing to just draft another edge rusher. And I'm going to go with someone who's very similar weight-wise. Isaiah McGuire, someone who I used to take in the first round. He's still top 32 on my board, but that's just mitigating the drop because he was number 2. It's a very sad story seeing how poorly he played there at the Senior Bowl. But I digress. Pick number 96. I'd still be interested in Derek Hall, even though we already addressed an edge rushing position. Again, I don't trust the DBs who are left on the board, except Caillou could be an interesting guy. I don't think he should be worth a 3rd-round pick. Brandon Joseph could be, molded into a superstar, but not a huge fan of that. So yeah, we're not really seeing. This is pretty slim pickings if we're gonna be frank with each other. So I still have guys like Tank Bigsby, Sean Tucker's on the board. This team, to be honest, could not they could use Sean Tucker, and with Gannon, I thought that Sean Tucker would have been a good fit for the Eagles anyway. I know it's Steichen's offense, not Gannon's, but Sean Tucker would be a nice addition there, kind of to supplement what they have there already in James Conner. Pick number 97. I got to remember that 102 pick is traded. I'm going to forget about it too. That's the sad thing. But we got Mike Morris. Derek Hall is just such a good value option at this point. He has freaking 35,000-inch arms. So definitely a really good platform to build a nice pairing with Myles Garrett. Pick number 98. Bieniemy's on the squad. We have already we got Keely Ringo in the first, which I reevaluated him. He doesn't belong there. Probably I would have put Emmanuel Forbes, and then maybe down here I would have gotten Ringo. Pair him up with his other Georgia corner, but that doesn't really matter. And we got Darnell Washington. That's very intriguing. I like it. It's fun, but obviously a lot's been going on. So it's been a minute since I have seen the guys who I have drafted. Man, this sucks. I would be very intrigued to go Alex Forsyth here. This is the spot where I could trade out of it, but I also might not want to miss the opportunity. Linebacker wise, I might want to go Dorian Williams. I think I do. Definitely somebody who's very good as a pass rusher as well would be a nice compliment there to the massive group of dudes that you have in that rotation. Ugh, fucking Niners. So we got 3 picks with the 49ers in a row. I'm going to start off with Jalen Duncan, very versatile and very athletic. Just not a big fan of him at all. I'm sure you could probably kick him into inside, but worst case scenario, you have an amazing mentor there. DB wise, Caillou might be a great fit as a depth piece here. Riley Moss, another guy to note. So I'm actually going to go Caillou, pretty close by. Santa Clara, Stanford, I think it's a 40-minute train ride from each other. And then giving the Niners one more pick. Do I dare just go another running back? There are some good players on the board. I would not be against going after a running back here. But we went a DB. We went an offensive lineman. Do we just go another edge rusher for depth? I'm looking at the guys who are available. Darrell Shami, I'm pretty sure he's still part of this draft class. Byron Young could be intriguing, but at this point, you're kind of just doing whatever the hell you want. What's BPA? Nick Herbig is not BPA. Based on my board, what's BPA? Probably a running back or something that I'm very high on. I think I have everybody except Xavier Hutchinson out of my top 32, and I'm pretty sure I have the majority of the guys who are in my top 64. So honestly, I'm just going to do a quick trade here. The Bears are going to make a small move up with the Niners. It is going to literally cost that 220 pick. Who cares? We move up with the Bears, and we are selecting another wide receiver here, and that is going to be Xavier Hutchinson, who I think he definitely got himself a bad rap. But this pick is not the Chiefs. Aha! I got him. I'm pretty sure this was sent to the Giants for Kadarius Toney. So you can talk about that as you will. But we ended up going after a linebacker in DeMarvion Overshown earlier. I could see them going after a safety like Jordan Battle here. Most likely is going to be the pick. Actually, I love Brandon Joseph, somebody who's going to be more of that Raven style of safety, which obviously Wink came from there. So that is going to be the video. I'll scroll down here so y'all can see the end of it again with a recap. But thank you guys so much for supporting me as always. And yeah, we're on the road for success. So thank you guys as always. See you on the far side. Peace.